Don't forget to hydrate, gang. Hello, I hope this finds you doing very well. If you're new here, my name is Kat. If you've been here before, it's lovely to see your face again. I hope you enjoy this little space. Today I'm going to talk about just two projects, I think. One of them is dangerously whimsical, super cute, and I kind of wish I had my friend here to share a little bit about it, but I was too excited to not share. So my friend Katie, who previously came along to make a little book nook with me, sent me a picture of a crocheted, I believe, mushroom bag, and she wasn't sure if she would, I think it was a pattern, and she wasn't sure if she'd be able to make it, and especially in the short time she had before going to a festival. It's like a scouting festival. It sounds really cute. And I was like, why don't you come round and I'm happy to help you kind of go through a few ideas that I think might be a bit more efficient, and also I can just help you so that it will take less time, so it will definitely be finished in time. This is the second time. Bearing in mind I'm filming the same day that I filmed last week that Audrey's decided to eat, and whilst I don't think it's loud, on the off chance, I'm just going to pause. So Katie came round and I did a very dodgy sketch. It essentially was a strip of a rectangle, a circle, and then two circles. And that was the components for making this bag, as well as a long strip that was to be the strap. And that was it. But I knew what that was going to be in my head, and I kind of explained what I thought that might be, and Katie got it. She was just like, yep, that seems good to me, because I thought about it over the week before she came round, and I was like, I'm going to get a little bit of felt in, because whilst wet felting some fabric myself would have been fun, I didn't know what colours, and for speed it was just a better starting point for the project. And I kind of felt like if this was a project that other people might want to do too, felt is a lot easier to get hold of than wet felting. So I got a couple of sheets of felt, and what we decided was that the felt would be a base, and then a base that would then go round the bottle and then sit on top, and then we'd use a woven strap to make the strap, a woven bit of fabric, and we'd sew that in and put two holes in the lid, and then that was how it would open and close without any sort of fussiness really needed. So no buttons or toggles or anything that kind of would make it a slightly more challenging project. So we thought that the use of the felt to make it all, and the woven strap was a really good method of getting started. And then what she could do is needle felt onto the fabric to add more whimsy, kind of be a bit more creative with colours and add any details. I did go for a conventional beige and red, but Katie was amazing and went totally not off-piste, but went totally different. So I decided to kind of let Katie take the lead with most of it, because I felt like it was her project and she should do it, and I just kind of stepped in as and when she needed to know something or wasn't comfortable. So I gave her a bag of Fibre from Whimsical, who is a lovely company that offer fibre and also does really nice carding machines, which is where I got mine, thanks to Marina, and set her off to just make a bat to do the top of the mushroom, because I felt like once she had that colour in her head, and it would kind of help visualise what it was going to look like, because we really didn't do proper planning. It was kind of on the fly and like, oh yeah, maybe we could do it this way. And she used these beautiful blues and greens, and she thought, oh, this is quite therapeutic actually, which became a bit of a running theme throughout this project, which is kind of good, I think. And while she was doing that, I kind of did basic measurements and got the the base, the bottle holder part of it together.
Let me give you more sewing room this time.
And I got a little bit stumped on the thought of the top, so then set up my inklet loom, my tiny little loom, with some Noro Silk Garden, I believe it's called, which was the yarn that we decided would look the best that I had like in my wall pantry for the strap. I got it set up so that Katie could then sit and do that whenever she wanted. I thought maybe she could take it away with her, or I could take it away to the festival I was going to. That didn't need to happen. She actually finished it that day, which is quite amazing. We then made up the top pieces where we used I think it was a plate we used as the base to mark out a nice circle that felt like the right size ratio without being too ginormous for the mushroom top. We also thought a little bit about how it was going to sit on the body, so we actually ended up flattening it off slightly so that it would sit closer to the body but still give the appearance that it was, you know, fully round. Wire.
Doing almost like a spiral of wire going upwards, keep it in place.
Being more elegant than Katt. The bottle holder itself, the bottom bit, so the rectangle that goes around and the circles, we actually made two that slotted together so that one could be on the outside needle felted, and then the one on the inside could give a clear, smooth appearance, if that makes sense. So we turned it inside out so that all the seamings were in the inside hidden, and then all of the needle felting was also hidden in the inside. When it came to the top, I thought about using just hat wire to hold out just the edge and then stuffing it with wool. But Katie thought that wire would be better, and actually it really meant we could really shape it after we'd finished, which was really cool, and I think she'll have more scope to adjust it over time, because wool will felt together, and it, even though we did fill it quite a lot, it will still condense over time, so the wire will give it that much more structure. And we kind of did a swirly-do shape. Hello, do you want to come up? Hello. So that was kind of the first day. We set everything up ready for the finessing, if you will. And then the next week Katie came round and she did, don't mind me kidding, she felted the top. I lent her my needle felting things and she got going with the beautiful bat that she carded. And I've got to say, she has a much better knack for like visualizing construction without it being in front of her than I do. I like to make things and have a tangible, my brain kind of, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's a bit of a negative thing, but I think I used to be really imaginative and visualize a lot in my head, and it was kind of like trained out of me by academia and adults who used to. Anyway, but Katie has that, and it's amazing to see like in action. She's like, oh yeah, no, this way, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really obvious, but I have to have it in front of me to do it. And also the finessing, like I've given Katie a needle so that when, you know, when she's maybe at the festival, she can needle felt anything in that either doesn't feel quite right anymore, or add a bit more fabric and like felt into the right places. Because I do think over time it will sort of shift a little bit, and having a little bit of extra fibre to just sort of make any touch-ups, or even, you know, add any more details she wants, which I think is quite cool. It did get a little bit late when we were doing the felting, so I ended up doing some felting on the, I'm not sure, stem? That's not the right word because it's a mushroom. Stalk, stem, all wrong words, but you know what I mean. So I ended up doing that, and to needle felt in the inside of that, I actually just used a bag of rice. Have since eaten the rice, which just meant that there was structure inside it to needle felt onto, rather than trying to needle felt onto a tube and sticking it together. So the neat felting needles basically have tiny little barbs that hook onto the fibre and like mat it together. So if I was to do that through the two sides of the tube, it would have stuck together. So shoved in some rice, off we went, which was another brilliant tiny little hack that helped out a lot. So much easier filming someone else.
Imagine
that. Happy little mushroom.
It is, isn't it? It definitely looks like one.
Poor thing.
Found that so funny.
It was good.
Yeah.
After rice.
Why do I like the back more? Yeah, I don't know why I like that side more.
Once we'd both done the needle felting and she'd made the little, again, I can't think of a better word than sort of the fins that she wanted to add, we just pieced it together. So we took the tube, put the other tube inside it, put the straps through the top of the mushroom, and then I sewed them into both pieces of the bottle holder, both sides. We didn't actually end up finishing the top, but it didn't really need it. The way that the mushroom sits on top covers that anyway, but that's something that we could do in the future. And yeah, it was such an easy project, and it did suddenly come together so quickly.
See, I'm so old school, I'll be like this. That was so out of focus. Oopsie. Yay.
That's so fun. Is that how you envisaged, or no?
It's better. Oh, look at it. Oh,
It's so whimsical.
it's gorgeous. Oh, it's so pretty. It's definitely down, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's so perfect.
It was just very whimsical. I kind of want to make my own for those little nature walk moments where you don't want to take a bag out with you. You've got pockets enough for, you know, a phone and a key, but you know, you want your water bottle and you're not quite committed enough to take a tote bag for a water bottle. So yeah, I think I might make one myself. The other project that I want to talk about is the one that I'm wearing, and I can't stop wearing it, and it really makes me very happy. So we went to see a band called Calandra when we went to Arctangent a few weeks ago, and the singer has been wearing this top, usually with a whole like sort of burnt orange, burnt browny ensemble, and I don't know, it just lingered with me, and I just really wanted to take that idea and make something myself. And I was like, I don't really have any fabric in my, I don't really keep a lot of fabric. I've got a little bit, but not much, and I do really like sewing when the time comes. But I did notice Alex's yarn, and it should probably not be on display because otherwise I'm going to just end up using it all, not sharing it. But it's this, and I love how different it looks caked up versus in the skein, and I can't remember what bird it was inspired by, but I will try and get him to send me the picture and pop it up so that you can see. I just really loved these colours, and I thought that if I combined this with an orange, which I did actually happen to have again, thank you Leanne, you're too sweet, and it just felt perfect. I was like, great, I've got just enough to make the exact amount of fabric that I'm going to need without breaking it into a new skein. So I actually only used a single skein of this. This is left over from a top that I made. And then this is the extra from that I think maybe Leanne hadn't used because she gave me a full skein then a little bit. But I ended up being able to make the amount of fabric that was just about right. This, just to clarify, this is a Highland 4-ply, so it is a mixed breed of, I think there's 2 sheep in it. But Highland is like a breed now, but it's the Highland 4-ply. And this is amble from Fibre Yarn Co, I think. I can't remember the colour, but it really is beautiful, and Leanne was kind enough to give me that and a matching piece of linen that I've made into a skirt that I wear all the dang time, that used literally every single scrap I had, and I used 2 bits of green linen for the front ties that don't get seen. And it matches this perfectly. Anyway, I ended up using Alex's yarn for the warp because I did think that the way it's dyed would lend itself to some interesting sort of movement, and actually what's happened is amazing. It's kind of almost striped, which just kind of melted my brain a little bit. So once I'd made the fabric, literally a plain weave, nothing fancy, I realised that I really liked the way the tassels or fringe on the edge looked. I was like, okay, I'm not going to sew this up. What I'm going to do is get my sewing machine out and do a zigzag stitch to protect that so that I can use that for something. And then I thought, why not use it in the top? The top that she wears, I think I will put it up on screen, is literally just like a long tube with a hole for the head and the body. And it is really long, and it's just a lightweight piece of fabric. I imagine it's like a lightweight linen. But then I was like, why don't I use that? Why don't I have fringing on the underarms? So I did a very bad sketch again. I'm not going to share it because it really is just like a rectangle with 2 bits of fringing. And I showed it to Alex. I was like, I know this is hard to visualise, but to fringe or not fringe? She was like, obviously fringe. I was like, okay. Because otherwise I can save it for like a cushion or something a bit more traditional or a bit less out there. But he was with me. I did extra rows of zigzag stitch along the edges, which meant that the fringe was really nice and secure, and then I could just cut it and re-hem for the sleeve. So it's a long rectangle with fringing on the ends, and I zigzag stitched 3, I think it was, rows of zigzag, and then cut so that 2 rows of zigzag stitch were on the tassels, and then each sleeve edge was pre-hemmed. I then hemmed the sleeves so they've got a nice finish. Because of the way I did it, I did lose a few inches in the width, but I have to say I'm really happy with the length of this. If I want more of a jumper, I'll put a jumper on, or if I want something under it, I think it will, you know, I can have something quite fitted and it will still look quite nice. So once I had done the hemming of the cuffs, I then marked out where I wanted the neck to be. And I think I actually just used a Sharpie to mark it, which was a bit wild, the one like width, and then zigzagged stitched around it to where I was happy, snipped it, cut it out, and then I folded the collar ready to be hemmed. And because I'd moved the neck just a slight bit forward so that the back's slightly longer, I ended up doing a double fold or triple fold, 1 extra fold on the front so that the back sits quite flat and quite high up in the neck, and the front just comes down a little bit. I did curve it slightly, but I didn't want to cut too much of my fabric away. I really didn't have any wastage. I have about, I would say, 1 inch from each side that I cut off because I just didn't need it to be that long of the fringe, and that is it. And I think what I'll do is either turn those into earrings or like bag tassels maybe, so that I've used everything. Everything. So once I had done the neck, all I did was pin this in place where I wanted it, checked that it was going to be, you know, wide enough in the body. I didn't hem this. I wanted the edge of the fabric to be the edge of my weaving so that I could, you know, really see it still and know that I made it. I don't know, it just feels right to leave that edge raw, if you will. And I just hand sewed it. I used the warp threads and just followed the pattern, so it was actually really relaxing to do because I had a pattern to follow each side. And I think it looks quite good. I'm very happy with it. I know it's a little bit out there, but it's so comfortable. It obviously has quite a lot of specialness to me. I'm not feeling very great with words right now, but my husband made it, he dyed it, and I get to see all of these colours that he did dye. My lovely friend that I actually met through going to a yarn show, a real life knitting pal, gave me the lovely orange yarn. Calandra are one of my favourite bands, and so I've got a little piece or a little nod to that. Yeah, I'm just really chuffed. I wear it a lot. It's kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's a bit like bog fashion, but also, I don't know, 70s, whimsical. I don't know, it's just, I love it, I'm very pleased. I actually did notes, that never happens, but what I wanted to do was make sure that every step was covered, and I think I did. I think I've covered it. Yeah, with that, I'm excited to get making. I think I'm going to make the cushion for this week. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I know that time's a weird soup, the world's a bit crazy right now, but I really appreciate that we can connect and share these like little moments and little crafts and, you know, get cozy together. Anyway, I'm gonna go because I think I could just keep chatting with you today. I don't know about how you're feeling, but I'm just feeling very like, should we just go and have a coffee, go for a walk along the canal, sit in the woods for half an hour, maybe go and do a bit of reading in the library, and then come back and knit? I feel like that would just be like the perfect thing. What do you think, Audrey? She says, no, I'm not leaving the sofa and you're sat here until I move. I will save you the waffle and love you and leave you. It's been so lovely to catch up. I hope you have a lovely week, whatever you get up to, and I hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to love each other.